In my other Serpent, I have a group of 7 Banshees and a Doomseer. Now, Banshees, I just recently got about a month and a half ago, and they have performed unbelievably. They just absolutely cut a swath into enemies like you wouldn't believe. I've killed entire groups of Terminators on the charge. I've killed full groups of TAC Marines. You name it. These guys are they just rip things to shreds, period. A friend of mine is pretty good at math, and he helped me come up with the best number of Banshees you need to take at a time. And if you take 7 Banshees with a Doomseer and give the Exarch and Executioner, which is what I do, you're averaging a little over 10 wounds on the assault. So against typical opponents, those 10 wounds means 10 deaths. And I mean, that's just all she wrote. You can kill a full squad of TAC Marines, which I have done. There's not much that can survive that. Keep them, however, out of range of anything mech. Mech will just rip these guys to shreds, even with the Farshi in the back with the Witchblade. They can't hold up with that. They'll just die. Give the Executioner Acrobatic, give the Exarch and Executioner and the Acrobatic upgrades. Warshout, it has its time and place, but typically you fight against high leadership armies, leadership 9, leadership 10, and it just doesn't work, so it's kind of a waste of points. Moving on next to my other 2 troop choices, my Pathfinders here. Pathfinders are what people are saying is the weakest link in my army. Now, I have to disagree with that. If I wanted, I could bring in more Avengers, but it's tough to get Avengers up the field without more Wave Serpents, which would just cost me more points. Pathfinders are slightly expensive. They cost 120 per group of 5. But here's what the thing is about Pathfinders. You can sit them wherever you want, and they can reach most of the board. They just sit there and pump out damage, and usually don't take much of it back, because people know that when they're in cover, they get that juicy 2+ armor or 2+ cover save. That is just an absolute tough nut to crack. To really hurt that, you need flamers, and not a lot of units have really fast flamers. You might have an occasional Deep Striker that has a flamer or 2, but it's not very common. So these guys can usually sit around and blast with impunity. And here's the thing. I bring 3 troops to the table. None of these troops are designed to live a long time, except for these guys, because they're inside a dedicated transport. But even with 3 troops, which people say is my weakest link, most people ignore the Rangers. Because if you look at the rest of my list, this list is designed to murder. This list is not designed for anything except to kill. It's not designed to be tricky. It's not designed to be, full of weird tactics and weird maneuvers. This list is designed to punish. If you make the wrong move, if you're not in cover, you are dead. It's just that simple. And here's the thing, is that on the retaliation, it's pretty tough to hurt this army. You need some pretty high firepower to hurt any of this. The Seer Council is immune to goddamn everything, and they can reroll saves. These guys will die fast, but if you keep them in the right spot, they're going to live a long time, because there's 3 of them. Fire Prisms, no brainer. They have 60-inch range. Keep them a long ways away. Just pop off blast templates left and right. Keep them safe. These guys, move them around. Give them a nice turbo boost cover save. I mean, everything else is either well protected with a 2+ cover save, or they're inside a dedicated transport. And that just is flat out hard to kill. In fact, most of the time when I bring this army, I flat out annihilate my opponent, and that is the goal. Because with this type of list, with this kind of army, if you lose 1 unit, you lose quite a bit. But there's enough firepower to go around. So if you can get lucky on the first couple turns, you are pretty much going to win the game. I mean, it's just that simple. The priority order is to take out the things that can affect you the easiest. We're talking Land Raiders, we're talking Exorcists, we're talking anything that has a high strength value on it. Take them out immediately. Because as soon as you take those out and they're reduced to mostly troops, the game is yours. You've won. Because there's not a lot they can do against this much firepower and this much survivability. That's kind of what I recommend. If you're interested in a list slightly like this, remember that you have to go first. If you don't go first, this list suffers a little bit. A lot of people online, especially like Fritz from Way of San Han and a couple other people, they'd love to go second. They love to stick in reserve. I don't. I love to go first. If I don't go first, I feel that I'm in trouble. Luckily, though, the dice gods are usually on my favor, and I usually get to go first. But you want to go first in this list. You want to decide how the battle is going to start, particularly with these guys. Because if they don't have fortune, you don't want to do anything with them. You want to keep them out of harm's way. So if they don't have fortune, you are in tough shape, because if you lose them, that's so many points down the drain is unbelievable. This whole squad here costs 435 points. That's a lot of points to be gambling with without fortune. I regularly play Sisters of Battle, and they started taking a Psychic Hood. I don't know why they didn't take it before, but that really put a damper in my plans here. So now when I bring these guys, sometimes I don't get the fortune, and then I'm just in trouble. I just hang out. I just hide. So yeah, that's kind of my video for tonight, because none of my friends can make it. As soon as I get some more of my Tyranid painted up, I'll tell you what I do with my Tyranid list a little bit. I have 2 armies, you can see over here. They're all kind of disheveled right now because we just had a game. I started to paint everything a little bit though. The Carnifexes. Yeah. For any of you painters out there, painting Tyranids is a bazillion times easier than painting anything else. I started to paint my new Eldar theme. My old theme was black, red, and bone. My new theme is a little bit different. I don't know if you can see that. But it is purple, fortress gray, and shadow gray, which is like a blue with a black base. It looks pretty cool. You can't see very well in the camera, but it looks pretty good on a table. It looks pretty striking. Not a lot of people use that kind of theme. Usually with Eldar, you see very bright colors. You know, like Eondin is blue and gold, and you got pretty much everything except Uthway, which is black and bone. And that's kind of what I originally mimicked was Uthway. I have these guys here, my Dire Avengers. This is my original paint scheme. They're black bone, and then I swapped out red for their color, for their detail color. Liked it at first, but now that I've gotten much better at painting, I decided to repaint the vast majority of my army. So that's why I've left most of the stuff unpainted, because I have a lot of painting to do. Disposable income is evil. You just buy and buy and never get around to painting. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post, and I will see you next week, hopefully.